Hello everyone, Tapas here, and welcome to the day 2 of 40 days of JavaScript. In the last video, we have learned some basics of JavaScript, how to import or include in your HTML, how to make it work, what are the different ways that you can load JavaScript into your HTML, and what is the best way, what is not so best way, what to use when. Lot of information that we have shared. We have also given you a task. I hope that you have completed the task and you are making use of the tracker that I have shared with you. In case you have not caught up with the previous video yet and directly jumping into this one, my request will be first complete that and then come to this one. And please make a great use of the progress tracker, because without that, you will be lost after a few videos in this 40 days of journey. All right, so without wasting any more time, let's get started with today's topic. What are we going to cover today? We are going to cover about variables, we are going to cover about types, we are going to understand some of the concepts like pass by value. Let's understand them deeply. As usual, towards the end of the video, you will find your task, and the request will be that you complete that. If you are liking 40 days of JavaScript, please share it with your friends, your coding buddies, so that they learn as well. And post a like on this video. Make sure that you comment on this video, you come to our Discord, and you start collaborating. Let's start learning about variables. Imagine you have to go to your friend's place, but this is the first time you are visiting your friend. Your friend has given you an address over phone. What will you do next? Either you will write that address on a piece of paper or on your notepad or in a mobile, so that you can carry that address with you till you reach your friend's place. It means you are storing that address somewhere, isn't it? Similarly, in programming also, if you have to remember a user's name, age, the marks, address, or employee salary, how do you make sure that you are storing this information? The place where you store this information with a name is called variable. Today, as we are exploring about the variables, as usual, I'll teach you with some visualization of how you should think about variables in your mind, and also the importance of it, along with the different types of variables that you have to deal with in JavaScript programming. On Visual Studio Code, I have created a new folder called Day02. You know how to create folder now on Visual Studio Code. You have seen that in last video. Inside that, I have created a HTML file called index.html. Again, I have showed you how to quickly create index.html file with a shortcut. And then I have created a JavaScript file called index.js, which is having a single line, a console.log called day02. You know this already. In index.html file, I have loaded this script index.js with defer. What is defer? I have explained that visually to you in last video, so not getting into it again. That's it, what it has. And then as usual, from live server, I am running this index.html, and I'm going to go my browser. If I open the browser and open the DevTools, on DevTools, I will find this particular console.log printed. Correct? This is the expectation. So here is the browser, and this is running over here, and we are seeing day 2. So it means everything so far is running great. It means I can start coding JavaScript now and can see my output straight away on the console. So we are talking about variables. Let's give a definition to variables. I will say variables are used to store data in JavaScript. So this is the simplest definition that you can actually provide. And one analogy that we have taken, that the address, that your friend's house address that you stored on a piece of paper, right? So the piece of paper that you use to store, as an analogy, you can think the variable is just like a box that holds some information. Just like your friend's address, it was on a paper. So that particular paper you can think about as a variable, and that address that you have written on that paper is the value of that variable. That's the way you should think about it. All right. See things visually so that it goes in your mind deeply. What you see on the screen, this particular square, imagine it is a box. And this box is nothing but a storage. Any box is a storage. You store things inside it, isn't it? This box has a name. any name that you can give it to the box. I have given a name called fruit to this particular box. So it means that in this box, I am going to store some food, some type of food. What I'm interested in storing in this box at this point of time is something called mango. Okay, so this is a box, it's a storage. The box has a name, storage is having a name called fruit. Inside the fruit, I am putting something, a fruit type, which is called mango. So here, what is the variable? The variable is something called fruit. And what is the value of the variable? The value of the variable is mango. This is how you will be imagining it. So how do we define variable? In JavaScript, to define variable, there is a construct. Construct means there is a syntax. And again, with concept, you also have to learn syntax, but you don't have to memorize the syntax. What I am asking you to memorize is the concept. Every fundamental concept that I'm teaching, like this box, inside this value, all this thing is what you need to sketch with me, note it down in your Notion, right, for your reference. But when I'm talking about the syntax, you can note down how the syntax look like at a high level, but you don't have to really memorize it. For that, you have ChatGPT, you have Google, you have all these resources and all this AI help today. Please take syntax from there and please take fundamentals from here. So what we see now, late slash const storage name equals to value. This is the syntax using which you will be declaring variable in modern JavaScript. What is late slash const means? We will say late const, and there is another sister of them, a little bit evil sister, is called var. So var, late, const, all these things, we will call them as specifiers. Why they call specifiers? They actually control that particular storage, like either the fruit storage or the address storage, where and who can access the value from that particular storage. This late const actually control that. Not only that, they can also control like how many times you can put your value, put your mangoes into that fruit storage. So they have a greater control on the variables. So they are very important. This late const var, each of them are very important time to time based on the use case or based on the problem that you are solving with JavaScript programming. We'll learn about them. So let's define some variables with late slash const and then the storage name equals to value. So if I take the fruit example itself, it will be like late fruit equals to mango because fruit was the storage name and inside fruit I am putting something called a mango as a value. This is the construct. So what you'll be noting down? You'll be noting down the first line. That is the syntax of declaring a variable. And now whenever you declare a variable, you know storage name should be replaced with the variable name and the value should be the value that particular variable or the storage will hold. And in front of that, you have to use either let, const or var, which I'll be explaining in a minute. Now let's talk and understand about value assignments. You have a storage, which is like a variable name, and you have a value. So it means you are assigning the value to the storage. So it means you are putting the value inside the storage. So whenever you are using the storage name, you can get the value back and can use that value anywhere you want. So assignments is something that we need to understand. For assignments, you use something called equals. You know the equal sign? That equal sign is the assignment operator. In the next video, we are getting into the operators very, very deeply. That's when we'll talk about this assignment operator, deeply about it and many other operators. But for now, understand equal sign means assignment operator. One equal sign means assignments operator in JavaScript. The left side of the assignment operator is the variable name or the storage name, what we learned. Here it is fruit. Right side of the assignment operator is the value that we are assigning to that variable or keeping in that storage, that is mango. And before your variable name, there is a specifier. In this case, we have used let. Why let? Why const? We are going to get into that in a while. So this is how we have done the value assignment. Now let's imagine again these boxes here. We have fruit as a box name, the storage name. We have mango as the value that we have put inside this box. Now I have done another assignments called fruit equals to kiwi. Kiwi is another famous food. So first I have assigned mango to the storage. Now I am assigning kiwi to the storage. what will happen to the storage? First, there was mango. Now think somebody will come, take the mango out and put the kiwi inside it. Mango out, kiwi got inside this. Imagine, visualize things in this way, then it will get into your mind, then get into your brain much deeper way. So whenever you assign something, the value goes into the storage. When you reassign another value, in this case kiwi, the old value wipes out and you have a new value for it. I hope you got this one. So here single storage, but we are assigning and reassigning multiple values. Let's take the next case. Here you have let fruit equals to mango, no worries at all. So we have the storage, we have the storage name, and we have mango. Now let's have vegetable, another storage, another variable. Inside that we have something called carrots. So we'll have another storage, we will have another vegetable, and then inside that we'll have carrots. Excellent, great. Now is the twist. Previously we have reassigned a value to the same variable or the same storage. But now we are doing the assignment little bit tricky way like this. We are assigning vegetable to fruit. So why we are doing fruit equals to vegetable? We are assigning vegetable to fruit. So when you are dealing like this is where the value type plays a very significant role. We are getting into understanding primitive values, non-primitive values in a bit. And that is when you'll understand that when you see a syntax like this, where two variable names are there in both the side of your assignment operators equals, what get assigned, it all depends on what kind of value, what type of value you are dealing with. There are two types of values exist in JavaScript. One is called primitive, another is called non-primitive. Primitive values are something that are very basic values like number, string, boolean, all these things. Non-primitive values are the advanced or the complex values that we build using the primitive values. Example, functions, objects, arrays. For any primitive values, the value when you do the assignment is pass by value. Okay, what does it mean? Let's see in this example. Pass by value, pass by references are not at all rocket science. Those are pretty simple thing. If you understand variable, if you understand value, you understand pass by value, pass by reference very easily. So in this example, what we have done, fruit equals to vegetable. What is the value of the vegetable? Carrots. What is the value of fruit? Mango. When you do fruit equals to vegetable, the value of the fruit is in double quote. It means it is of a text type. In programming, we call it as string type. Right side, the vegetable is also having a value that is also a string type. In JavaScript, string is a primitive value. All the primitive value in JavaScript is passed by value. It means when you assign to variables, your right side variables value, whatever the value is there in that particular storage, is passed to your left side storage. Very simple. So right side you had carrots. When I do this, left side you had mango. Mango goes off and carrot passed to it. One vital thing to remember over here, nothing happens to vegetable in this case. No changes will be made to the right side of the variable of the assignment operator, the equals operator. That will be intact. Only thing that will change in this case is the left side variables value, because we have done the assignment of two variables to storage, and as it is a primitive we are dealing with, the right side's value will be replacing the left side storage value. Right side storage value will be intact without any change. This particular phenomena is called pass by value, and it happens only for the primitive kind of data type, which are the basic data type in JavaScript. We'll see the list in a while. I hope this value assignment is very clear. Excellent. So let's move on. Now I'm going to talk about some rules that you must know while declaring variables. Every programming language has its own grammar. What does grammar means? When we talk in any language, let's say we talk in English or my mother tongue, Bangla, I have a grammar for that language. If I don't follow the grammar of that language, no human being can understand what exactly I'm trying to say. I won't be making sense. Try it out. Try to talk without grammar to your friend. The friend will be wondering what exactly you're trying to mean. Similarly, in programming also, we have something called grammar. The grammar defines the syntax, and JavaScript always check whether the grammar is met and adhered in your programming when you are doing the programming. And grammar comes with rules, isn't it? Past tense, present tense, future tense, everything has a rule. Grammar in programming is also having rule, and the very basic rule for grammar in programming is how do you name your variables. So let's see what are the different ways that you can name your variables, and what are the things are allowed and what are the things are really not allowed. So let's spend next 2 to 3 minutes understanding the rule, see some example. Again, it's a time for you to take notes and try out different kind of variable names on your Visual Studio Code. I'm also going to do same thing with you. First rule, your variable name must have digits or letter. Okay, so it means digits means 0 to 9 or A, B, C, D letter. It must have that. Second rule, the name can have special characters like dollar and underscore. So it means that your variable name can have digits, can have letters, and the special characters are allowed dollar and underscore. The first character of your variable name should not or must not be any digit. So you cannot start a variable name with a number. Remember this. Okay, this is another rule. And then you cannot use some reserved keywords. What is reserved keywords? As we understand JavaScript, as we learn JavaScript further, we will see that JavaScript has few reserved keywords that are reserved for the language. So whoever written the language, whoever maintained the language over the period of time, they have introduced certain keywords. For example, if I talk about loop, there is a for loop. So for is the reserved keyword. If we talk about conditions like if, else, these are reserved keywords. So you cannot use for, if, else as your variable names. All right. So these are the rules. The name must have a digits or letter. The name can have dollar or underscore as special characters. The first character must be a digit, no reserved keywords. Let's take some example. So let dollar equals to dollar. Is it a valid name or not? Test for you. What do you think? Look into the rules and answer. No cheating. This is definitely a valid name because the name can have dollar and underscore. It should not start with a digit, and dollar is not a reserved keywords. That means let dollar equals to dollar works. How about let tomorrow? Here we are starting with number 2. Is it a valid variable name, guys? What do you think? No, it is not, because it is starting with the number 2, and here we are saying the first character must not be a digit. How about this? Let underscore equals to underscore, let react hyphen play. What do you think? How about the first one? So underscore is a allowed one, right? And it is not a digit. So it's fine. We can put that name. How about react hyphen play? Can we have a name like this? Look like a legit name, but unfortunately you can't because you have used a hyphen and only allowed characters are dollar and underscore. So I hope you enjoyed this test. Try out more examples. Try to see like what kind of errors you get. Now here is something tricky, something more tricky. You have something called let my name equals to Tapas. And again, you have let my name equals to Alex. First of all, these two are valid or not? Yes, these two are valid because it is actually adhering to all the rules that you have specified at the top. But are these two same variables? Look at them closely. They are not same variables. The first one, aim starts with a small case m. The last one, the aim starts with a capital case M. So the variable names are case sensitive. If you declare something with a smaller case and the same thing you are repeating with a capital case or any of the later case you have changed, both the variables are going to be two different variables. So there are a few standards that we want to follow for variable names. One, definitely use camel case. What is camel case? Camel case is a casing of your word where you start with a smaller case and then if there are multiple words together coming to form a single word, the second word onwards, the first letter should be in capital. So here the camel case, CAMEL, CAAC itself is written in a camel case. There are two words here. One is camel, CAMEL, another is CAAC. As you're seeing, the first letter of the first word is small and the rest of the things are also small. The first letter of the second word, which is like case, that particular C is capitalized. So that's how you will be forming the camel case. So with this camel case, you try to create your variable name. This is the standards. If you don't follow the standards, nothing goes away, but it's good to follow the standards. The name should be human readable. So it means that if you're writing something, people can at least read and remember. If you are creating a variable for address, you will name it as address or home address or office address. You won't name it as ABCDY, it's case, hash, dollar, or something like that. Because the variable name, we will see that you will be referring in multiple places in your program. Looking at your variable name itself, a developer can understand what exactly you're trying to express, what are you trying to say in terms of your programming using that particular variable. If you use home address, office address, work address, or just address in multiple places in your programming, anybody reading your code would understand clearly that, oh, you are dealing with address. But instead of address, if you're given the name like Haja, Barola, ABCD, hash, nobody understand what exactly it is. So it has to be human readable. And the third rule, which I think is very, very important, not many people speak about it, that your name should match your use case, what you are doing. Be it a variable name, be it a function name. When you learn function, we'll also learn that we have to give a name to a function. For any such thing, make sure that it relates to the cause, the use case. For example, if you are dealing with salary, you will name it as salary. You won't name it as amount or count. Both salary, amount, or count can hold numeric values. They are very close, but if your program is dealing with exact salary, you will call it as salary. You won't call it as count. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind when you are dealing with variable. Enough of talking, let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Now we are going to understand a little bit more about this var, let, and const specifiers. When you talk about var, let, and const, there is something called scope that comes with them. But in this session today, in day 2, we are not covering scope. Scope will come a little later. It's a very important topic. We'll understand it like deep down. And that is when we'll talk about why var is function scope, why let is block scope, why const is block scope. That's when you'll understand when you understand the scope. For now, forget this function scope, block scope, and all these things. We'll revisit. For now, just understand whenever we say var, it means it can be redeclared. When I say let, it means it can be reassigned. When you say const, it cannot be reassigned. You remember these three for now. And let's see example one by one. So if I declare something with var, let's say address, and I say Bangalore. Now console.log of address is going to print Bangalore. I can see it over here. It is printing Bangalore. Fair enough. Now after this, I can again do var address equals to USA. And if I copy this console.log after this, paste it over here, and if I go to browser now, it says Bangalore and then says USA. So it is printing both. There is no error in the program. But what we have done, we have declared a variable, a storage, assigned a value Bangalore to it using var. We have printed the value of it. Again, we have declared the same storage using var, assigned a new value to it, and we have printed. This is allowed with var, that you can redeclare the same variable, same storage using the same specifier multiple times. This actually caused a lot of misconception, lot of misunderstanding in JavaScript programming for a longer time. Usually in your programming, you should be declaring your variable once. Understand this very well. You should be declaring your variable once. You will be using your variables multiple times. You will be assigning value to your once declared variable multiple times, or you may not do based on your use case. For a safe and clean programming, these are the rules. I'll tell the rules again, you will note down. You should be declaring your variables only once. You can assign value to your variables as many times as you want based on your use case. You may not want to assign value to your variable which is only once declared based on your use case. You can use your variable name as many times as you want in your programming as it is needed. But using the keyword like var, late, const and trying to declare the variable multiple times, that's something you should avoid. Even to the extent that JavaScript used to work before, that you don't have to even give var. You don't have to give it here. This will still work. This is really used to create a lot of misunderstanding because you are declaring the same variable multiple times. You don't know the purpose, like why you are doing multiple times. That is when late came into picture. Now, if you try to do the same thing with late, I'll do late over here. I will do late over here. Now, can I see the output? The first restriction I'm getting here, the identifier address has already been declared. So later with ES6, we have seen in the previous video the history of JavaScript. ES6 is when modern JavaScript came in. With ES6, the late and const, these two keywords came in. And with late, this particular problem was fixed, that you cannot use the same identifier, same storage name, same variable name twice or more than once to declare the same variable. Once you try to do that using let, it is going to scold you very badly that you should not be doing it, and you must get that scolding. That's the reason you should be using let or const. You should not be using var anymore in your programming. Var is not removed from programming because there are a lot of JavaScript code which are written years back, decades back, legacy code are still running in production. If JavaScript says that we are not supporting var anymore and tells all the browser vendors like Chrome, means Google or Mozilla or anybody or Microsoft saying that, hey, don't support var anymore, I think those old legacy programs are going to break. So it might happen one day that var completely gets removed, but right now var is still supported, but you should not use that. Now, late can be reassigned but cannot be redeclared. Here we have redeclared, but you cannot redeclare it, but you can reassign. Means you declare it once, that is what you have done, late address equals to Bangalore, and then you are reassigning another value to the same variable. You are not declaring again. Once you say variable is declaring only when you have one of the specifier in front of your storage name or the variable name. Other than that, you are not declaring the variable. Okay, so here we are not declaring the variable, we are reassigning another value. This is very much legit for let. This is allowed. So if I go to the browser now, I will see both Bangalore and USA without any problem, because first we have declared the variable. While declaring, we have assigned a value. Later point of time, we have reassigned the new value to the same declared variable. See, these terms are very important for you to understand. Even this also I request you to note down. Redeclared, reassigned, all these things are having different meaning. They are not the same thing. So you have to say what is redeclare means, what is reassign means. I just now explained. Excellent. So let's get back to Visual Studio Code again. Now we talk about const. Const actually comes from the fact that it is a constant. What is constant? Constant means something that doesn't get changed. So once you assign a value to a variable using the const, you cannot change the value of that particular variable later point in time, because you are creating something like a constant. So if I now change this late to const, and it's a const address equals to Bangalore, very good, console.log address, and here again I'm reassigning another value USA to the same declared variable address using const now. And we say const, it cannot be reassigned. Cannot be reassigned means this is not allowed. So line number 13, I should get an error. Let's go back to our browser. See, line number 13, we got an error, uncaught type error, assignment to constant variable is not allowed. First Bangalore got assigned, Bangalore got printed, but when you tried with USA, it didn't work. So I hope this definition of var late const can be redeclared, can be reassigned, cannot be reassigned is very clear to you. When you declare a variable in your programming, whether it is let or const, you can do it in two ways. Either you do let age, and then later point in time you assign age a number. This is completely allowed. You are declaring the variable first and assigning later. Or when you're declaring the variable, or you can assign the value to it there itself, later point of time, if you need in your programming, you might want to reassign. So based on your need and your use cases, you can actually do it. In fact, you can do things like let name, comma, salary, comma, department, this multiple variables declaration at once. This is also possible. And then once you have declared, you can assign the value of them later point in time. Now we are going to talk about primitives and non-primitives. But before we get there, you must have seen that I'm using this two slashes, right? This is for commenting a line in JavaScript. If you want to comment it out, means your JavaScript engine will not execute this line as a program. It will just skip it. So you say that I'm commenting it. I'm not writing the actual program for you, JavaScript, to pick up and execute. That's why we use these two slashes to comment a single line. If you want to comment a block, in that case, you will be using something called this slash and then star, and wherever the block ends, star and then the slash. Here, this slash and this is the opposite one. So anything inside this particular character sequence and this particular character sequence will be treated as a comment. Again, JavaScript engine, when going through the JavaScript code in this file, will skip. It will not treat it as a programming language. All right. So this is how you do commenting in JavaScript. Now here, this is a text. I don't want JavaScript to execute this because this is I have written for explanation so that I can explain it to you and you can understand. So that's why I kept it inside the comment. Now there are two different types of data types. One is primitive data types, another is non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types is also called reference data types. Okay. What is primitive data types? Primitive data types are the basic data types exist in the programming language. Those are the very, very basic data types that you will be using. For example, string. When you say string, string will be inside a quote. Okay, single quote or double quote. That's why the string will be. Here is an example. Hello. Then a number which is a numeric value like this 24 or 3.14. Boolean, which is like always true or false. So whenever you are creating a variable which should have a Boolean value, the Boolean value should have only true or false, either of them. Undefined. So there are two things in JavaScript. One is called undefined and another is called null. People get confused a little bit between undefined and null. Let me explain. Undefined is when a variable is declared but not assigned anything. Example, name, salary, department. I have declared these variables, but I have not assigned any value to it. It means that I have not defined how these variables are going to behave in your programming. Whether name is going to be a string, whether salary is going to be a number, department is going to be a string. I don't know because I have not defined. That's why they are undefined. I just declared and left them. So if I do a console.log of name, you do it. At this point of time, it will print undefined because name is declared. I know what is declared means, but no value assigned. So it is called undefined. So in JavaScript, when a variable is declared but no value assigned ever, then the variable is called undefined. So this is what another type is called undefined. Okay. Then comes null. Null means the variable is declared, the variable is having a value, and that value is null. And when I am assigning a variable a value called null, so for example, if I assign say salary equals to null, so here salary is declared and then salary is assigned a value. As salary is declared and salary is assigned a value, salary is no more undefined. If this line is not written, then salary is undefined because salary is declared but no value is assigned. But as salary is declared and a value is assigned, be it null, a number, a string, or whatever it is now defined. But if I assign it a null, which itself is a value, it means that it is nothing. Its value is nothing. Its value is something which is nothing. It is neither a string, it is neither a number, it is neither a boolean, nor a symbol, nor a big int, nothing. His value is nothing. It doesn't have any value. None of us will want a salary with null. We will want salary with a bigger number, right? That's how we enjoy. So I hope that you understand the define between undefined and null. Next come begint. Begint is for large number, usually integer or the number are for the smaller number, but begint to represent a very, very big number in JavaScript. And then comes symbol, which will take a deeper look in the advanced section towards the end of 40 days journey, which will be used to create unique identifiers. Okay, before symbol exists to create unique identifiers, we have to rely on string only with the unique identifier values. But with symbol, now we have a new data type using which you can create unique IDs for your data in the programming. That's why the symbol is used. So these are the one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. So far as of creating this video are the primitive data types or the basic data types. Now, taking these primitive data types, you will be creating more complex data types in your program. You will be dealing with more complex data. For example, here you have an employee name, you have a salary, and the employee's department. Okay. Now, this is for one employee. What if you have 100 employees? So it means that you have to repeat this name, salary, department 100 times. If you repeat this name, salary, department 100 times, say in a row, you have to still understand this salary belongs to which employee, this department belongs to which employee, this employee belongs to which department. You have to have some kind of relationship, isn't it? Now, to tackle all these things, you have complex data types. The example of complex data type is objects, arrays, and function in JavaScript. The objects, arrays, and functions are built using these primitive data types, but they are also separate data types which are like complex data types. So if I take some examples now, so here is an example of a complex data type in JavaScript, and here the complex data type is nothing but an object. Let's understand. Now this is not the object class, so if it is new to you, don't worry about it. We are having the session where we'll do a deep dive on object-oriented programming, references, everything. Don't worry about it, but at a high level, try to understand. This is the structure of an object. What is an object? Object is a key value pair, and which will be inside this parenthesis. So inside this parenthesis, there is a key and value pair, and the key and value will be separated with a colon. So this is a key, then colon, then the value. This is a key, then colon, then the value. This is a key, then colon, then the value. So this is what is an object. And an object now assigned to a variable, and there is a keyword or the specifier called let. Now instead of saying 10 over here, you just saying the value is another object. So far you have seen the value to be a primitive value. Now I am assigning a non-primitive value, a reference type value, a complex type value, an object as the value for this student variable, the student storage. So imagine now student will be one box, one storage. Inside that you have something like this: name, age, is enrolled, something like that visually, though it is not exactly correct, but visually you can think about it. Now take a deeper look. Now all these values are built using all the primitive values, isn't it? So here name is Alice, Alice is a string, string is primitive. Age is 22, 22 is number, and number is primitive. Is enrolled is true, true is a boolean value, boolean is primitive. So as I told, that complex data object, the non-primitive one, the reference one will be always built using the primitive ones, or it can be as complex that it can be built with non-primitive one also. It means that the value of any of these properties can be another object. Similarly with array also it will be the same case. If I want to declare an array, I'll be declaring it as a name, and then can give a name of, then give a value inside this array, right? So here I'm giving 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. Each of these things are primitive values, there's a number, and finally it creates an array because I have kept all this number as a sequence inside this subscript, and this is a complex data type, a non-primitive data type. Now a bigger question: how variables and data stored in the memory? That's what we need to understand. Let's do this for both primitive and non-primitive data types, but at a high level. These variables we are creating, the values that we are assigning, it must be stored somewhere, right? Because if it is not getting stored, we are not able to reuse them in later point in time. So in programming, the program uses memory, your computer memory, because that is where in that memory only it's going to store and is going to save this information. Without storing it into the memory, it cannot really reuse those information later point in time. Now there are two types of memory at a high level that I want you to understand. One is called stack, another is called heap. When you get into the advanced topic of 40 days of JavaScript, we have a topic called memory management. You can check that into the tracker that I have shared with you. By the way, if you have not downloaded the tracker yet, please download it. The link is again in the description of this video. You can get it from there. So there you will see that there is a chapter, there is a session exclusively for the JavaScript memory management. We'll talk about it in much more depth over there. But let me introduce a few concepts over here because it's important. There are at a high level two different kind of memories. One is called stack. Stack as a data structure you might already know that we can put things into the stack of book, stack of plate, everything. And then there is a discrete memory called heap. Now, when we are dealing with variables, and we told that there are two types of variables that we are dealing with, one is primitive type, one is non-primitive type. So primitive data types stored into the stack memory. This is where your primitive data types will be stored. Okay. And your reference data type or the non-primitive data types will be, the value of that will be stored into the heap. Okay. Each of the memory location, each of these things will have a unique memory address, just like our home address. If somebody has to send a letter to our house, the person will write the letter and write the address of our house, isn't it? Then only the letter will come. Or somebody wants to do an email to you or WhatsApp to you, you have a mobile address, which is a mobile number, or an email address, which is your email ID, so that the email or the WhatsApp reaches to you on time, right? Similarly, each of this memory section will have an unique address. Using that unique address, JavaScript can reach out to that particular memory segment or the memory location and pick up the value from that. Okay? We will see all this thing when you get into memory management. Don't have to take load. But for now, just remember that your primitive variables will be storing the value inside a stack, and your non-primitive variables will be storing the value inside something called heap. And wherever it is storing the value in this heap, which will have an unique address, memory address, using which a later point in time, if you want to retrieve the value of it, JavaScript will use that and retrieve the value of it and give it to you. This much is what I am asking you to understand now. Rest all about memory management we'll see later. Okay, no worries right now. So if somebody asks you the question where the primitive gets stored, where the non-primitive gets stored, you have the answer. JavaScript is a programming language. How exactly it is perceiving all this thing? I told about the grammar of the language, isn't it? So it has to do something with the grammar. Let's understand this thing visually. Whenever JavaScript engine sees any line of code, it takes that line of code to through three phases. The first phase is called tokenizing. Second is called parsing. Third is called interpreting. There is a fourth phase also is called generation or the code generation. But at a high level, tokenizing, parsing, and interpreting. You have this particular code snippet. You don't have to understand what this code snippet does, but let's think that it is there. Let's assume. What is this code? Is like you can see something called a function. We will learn about function in future. The function has a name. Inside the function, that code you know. There's something called var name equals to some name. This line you know now because we have learned this. So I've declared a variable using var, which you should not be, and assigned a value some name to it. And then there is a console.log. That also you know. Now this code, when we give to JavaScript engine, what JavaScript engine is going to do? JavaScript engine is not going to run this code as it is because JavaScript has a grammar, I told. JavaScript has to first verify whether the code that is written, that is given to JavaScript to run, whether it is as per the grammar of the language or not. If it is as per the language, great, it will run. If it is not as per the language, it will cry, it will give you the error. So to understand whether it is as per the language or not, first JavaScript is going to break this particular code apart into different things, which is called tokens. So what you're seeing over here, that each of the thing in that particular code is broken into multiple pieces so that it can understand whether it is adhering to its grammar or not. So each of the pieces are broken, like function, say name, then some name, var, exactly everything got, different kind of representation, different kind of tokens. After getting this token, then the parsing starts. In the parsing case, what will happen? JavaScript create a tree structure with all this token. This particular tree is called abstract syntax tree, AST. You must have learned about abstract syntax tree in your DSA class if you have taken. Otherwise, it's something called an abstract syntax tree, where on each of this node, these tokens will be there and the definition of the tokens will be there. I'll show you a website where you can write a code and see what is the abstract syntax tree it is generating. Okay, and you can study about that. That will be one of your tasks. And after this parsing phase, JavaScript is going to start the interpretation. Look at this. This is the source code, var age equals to 7. Then it will tokenize this, var age equals 7 semicolon tokenized. Then it will parse, create the abstract syntax tree. Okay, this is the tree it is creating. Once the tree is getting created, the last thing would be the code generation. And here you will be getting the machine code, right? It will run in loop. So let's understand it once more. You have a source code with tokenizing. It is breaking into different kind of tokens and parts. From the tokens, you have a parsing. After parsing, you're generating the abstract syntax tree. From AST, then the final thing will be the machine generated code. That's what your machine understand. So you started with a single line of JavaScript code. Finally, it got into a machine code. That is what machine understand. So this is what you need to understand. Like when you're writing any JavaScript code, the JavaScript code as it is, not actually running, there are a lot of things happening at the background to make your single line of JavaScript code work, which is very, very important to understand. So here is a site called astexplorer.net. So here left side, any code you write, whether it's JavaScript code or there are various other languages. The right side, what you get to see is the abstract syntax tree representation of it. You can see it as a tree, you can see it as a JSON, so that you can understand that your single line of code, if I just remove everything over here and just say let x equals to 10, just for this is the abstract syntax tree got generated. You can see this over here, right? The variable declaration, the type of variable declaration, at what particular point it got started, till where it went, what is the kind of it, which is like late. And then if I go even deeper down into this, I can see like the decorator of it, when it started, where it ended, everything, every piece of thing that you can see as an abstract syntax tree. Because compared to this only, JavaScript is going to match whether your this code is matching the language or not. Let's do something like this. I have started the variable name with a number now, which is not allowed. You can see the tree is not formed. As the tree is not formed, JavaScript cannot really take care of your this code. It is going to throw the error, the type error, immediately. So it says identify directly after a number, which is wrong. It's not matching the grammar. The grammar says that it should not be. Now this can happen. Now here, if I do underscore, it's valid. If I do dollar, is valid. These are the valid things we have seen. Awesome. Please play with it. This is one of the tasks that you have. So people, was it useful? If it was useful, please post a like, post comment, let me know that if it was useful to you, and please share this with your coding buddies and friends so that all of you can learn JavaScript fundamentally for these 40 days. We are just on the second day. Let's talk about the assignments. The assignment for this particular video is pretty simple, and if you have gone through this video, you will be able to do it very, very easily. Task 1, declare variables for a person's name, age, his student status, and his favorite programming language. Then assign some value to it, print the value to the console, reassign some of this value. When you declare with let, declare with const, see how it behaves, what kind of error it gives. I have showed you very small example of creating an object and an error. You try to create a variable and assign an object value, assign an array value, try to change them and see whether you are facing any issue or not. Don't worry too much about object and array, because there are sessions coming up to detail to understand what is object, what is array, references, pass by references, and all these things. But for now, please master variables with this lesson and the assignments. And if you happen to do this assignment, come and start posting about it in the task assignments channel under 40 days of JavaScript. If you have other things to discuss, if you have questions like some of this, great questions, please come and ask over there. I'm going to respond most of it on Discord itself, so that you learn, you get to know much better way. So either you can do questions on YouTube itself in the comment or on the Discord as well, and collaborate with everyone, every other developer, so that when you collaborate well, you learn better. Thank you very much. Take a great care of yourself. We'll be back again with day 3 very soon.